Hello, all you wonderful people out there, and welcome to another episode of Pivotal Change. I'm your host, Ryan Kahn with CS Business Consulting, and this is a show that is all about business entrepreneurship, leadership, people that have or want to grow their influence, and what couple of things can we learn to find that pivotal change that leads us onto our journey of success. Got a very good episode planned for tonight, people with some really good stories, and my first guest is Olga Hurtado. She is the owner of Neat Books, and she has just a wonderful story. She is literally living the American dream, and I'm very excited for you to hear from her again. So, Olga, thanks for coming back onto the show.
Thank you, Ryan, for having me. Nice to meet you.
Oh, pleasure to meet you again. So, the thing that's nice about this, Olga, is we have, I don't want to steal your thunder about coming from Colombia and your whole. I'll let people look at the last time we spoke. But what I want to do is I want to talk to you about the starting of your business and the decisions behind it and your successes and failures. And people on this show are told by me to watch with pen and paper. So hopefully they can take some notes and get some really solid learning lessons from you tonight. But what I want to do is when you decided to not just come to the United States, but to start a business in the United States, that's a pretty big decision. What was the hardest decision that you had to make when starting your business? And how did you overcome the challenge that was involved around that?
Well, Ryan, I think the hardest decision was to transition from a steady job, like, a steady income, regular job, 9 to 5, to uncertainty, okay, entrepreneurial. And that decision was a really hard one for me because when you come from a country like Colombia, you like that security. You love that. So making that decision was like, oh my God, am I ready to do this? Like, do I have enough money to do this? So that was like the hardest decision for me to make when I decided to go solo, to call it that way.
I like that. So the hardest decision was leaving security. And I think that's a bell that can probably ring and echo through everyone listening. I was in a similar shoes to yours. I had a very solid job of which I was very competent at and very
Definitely.
comfortable in. And then I was like, man, I'm going to go jump in and own a business and take on a partner. So that's pretty good. So what went through your head? What went through your mind in saying, okay, I am ready for this, and I do have the ability to execute this. You'd mentioned some money and some comfort. What were the thought process that made you say, yes, I'm going for it?
Well, actually, Ryan, I didn't have like that time to do the thoughtful process because I was laid off. And when I was laid off, I was basically left with nothing. My previous job didn't offer me any benefits. So basically when I made that decision, I based it in my I want to spend time with my girls, and I'm going to do whatever it takes for me to be with them. Okay. If I had to do empanadas, I will do empanadas. I didn't care about that. Okay. So the challenge to me really was not only to make the decision of going solo to, from a job and going solo. It was because I had to learn a lot about how the American business work. Okay. Because I'm not from here. And that was one of like the challenges that I had to face when I made that decision. It was like, okay, do I understand the system? Am
Mm.
I ready for this? Because money, basically, you can actually leverage your business by getting, I don't know, a loan, a grant, whatever it is. Okay, but understanding the nuances of American businesses, that's when one of the biggest challenge came to me. Even though I was in the country for 10 years, I was basically facing that situation, and I was like, okay, am I ready? This is something that I need to learn from scratch. So I took the chance, and I did it because I wanted to spend time with my girls. That was one of the main reasons I did it.
Well, I think that's some pretty awesome motivation. I think more people would love to have the courage to do what you did and then get that family time and that impact with their kids. So in doing that, you found this breakthrough moment. You went and you took the plunge and you became an entrepreneur. Can you tell us maybe in your memory, what was one of the first major moments when you realized, wait a minute, my business is succeeding. I'm making money. I'm getting more stable. This is working. I'm having a breakthrough. Can you share that moment of realization with us?
Was actually after the pandemic. Um, because during the pandemic we had like a wave of clients. That was quite weird for me, but actually my business grew because of the pandemic. So after the pandemic, we had a breakthrough. We had a client coming into our office, and he was very frustrated, to say the least. And he couldn't find a firm that could help him embed, all his accounting processes for him for that situation in particular. So when he came to us, he came with an idea of technology automation. So I was, thriving with my technology expertise. And I was telling him, you know what, we can do this and we can do that. And then he told me, hey, you know what, you are basically one of the accounting firms that I have talking to, that you actually serve this type of clients very well. Like I, I can be like a very good client of you guys. And I was like, boom, okay, there's a need. There's something I need to do. This is a niche for me. And I will divert all my efforts to this niche from now on. And I started the business in 2015. And let me tell you, from 2015 to 2022, I said yes to everyone. Oh yes, I can do this. Oh yes, I can do that. But after 2022, I realized, okay, this was my breakthrough moment. Like, yeah, we were doing fine, we were doing, steady revenue. But after this, it was like a boom. Okay, this is the real deal for me. This is my moment. And we created everything throughout this. Our marketing strategy, our pricing strategy, thinking about this niche. And we have done it for 3 years now, and it's worked.
Definitely. Well, I really want to point out something that is, man, I can't emphasize this enough for people to hear, is that, there's this cliche, the riches are in the niches, and however you say niches or niche or whatever, the rhyme is better with
Yeah.
riches. But that's so true. And you said, I realized that this is my niche. And from that point forward, I dedicated everything on throwing my resources, my time, and my efforts at that niche. And that's where the curve, I guess I'm on camera, went up and to the
Yes.
right. And so that is a huge moment, is that it's okay. And you have to, when you're a first young starting out entrepreneur, you've got to eat, you've got to get clients, make money, and you've got to be able to put groceries on the table, right? But after that, after there's any sense of stability, identifying a niche and just pouring yourself into it is where you're really going to really take off. So thank you for sharing that. That is, man, that's probably really impactful. So did that mindset come from anything that you saw in your background or any of your life experiences? I can only imagine that, we come from different parts of the world. You come from a different cultural background than me and many other people watching the show, and there's people that, are all over. How much did your mindset give you an advantage? Do you have a cultural advantage from people in the United States think and act this way, and I act like this, and it gave me an advantage?
Well, I think because of our Latino culture, we are very people oriented. Okay, we love relationships, like we try to establish long-term relationships with our clients, with our families. We are very tied together. We are like glue with our families. So I think that's part of our advantage as Latinos, and I think that's part of my advantage as a Latina woman, trying to build the business from a different perspective, more of a service perspective rather than only making money. Okay, so I think that's one of my main advantages on from my background. Also,
Love
the
it.
fact that I come from a different from my parents, their experience from from their going bankrupt after having this big business in Colombia, and us as a family have to endure all those situations together as a family. I think that's also something that helped me shape my personality towards my business. And that's how I like implemented those small things into my business and with my team, like taking care of everyone that is around me, not only thinking about money. Because not everything is about money. And let me tell you something, Ryan, when COVID happened, we got a lot of clients because a lot of accountants were rejecting clients. They didn't want to attend anyone. So we took them, and some of them they didn't have any money to pay because they were shut down. So now those clients are with us, and they have grown with us. And probably most of these services that we provided during the pandemic, we did it for free.
Yeah.
And that's part of our personality. Like, we are a community, we are glued together. So I think that's part of, like, our mindset, help us thrive in businesses in the Latino community. That's my perception.
I think that's an awesome perception. I mean, you're speaking a language that I'm trying to get other people to realize and speak. I go all over the country teaching people that servant leadership, and that is what really gets you. And this transactional, this compliance, here's a tax return, here's a bank reconciliation, here's a whatever, that is broken. And that's an
Yeah.
old 1940s, 50s model that, yeah, I can get you so far. But if you want depth and you want wealth, you need deeper relationships for wealthier and richer relationships and lifestyles. And the fact that you're pointing out that it comes naturally through your culture and your family background, I'm going to tell you as a business owner and a mentor, you've got a major advantage on your competition if that's your mindset from the beginning. So that was really awesome to share and get up front. What I'm going to do
But
over
let me
yeah,
I'm sorry. Let me add
no,
something else about the Latino community and about how I feel, how we perceive business is that we're resilient and we are resourcefulness. We have a different mind structure because we migrate to the United States with an idea. Okay. So that's a different perspective that we have when we are business owners. So just to
love it.
add as a complimentary in my message.
That was perfect. I'm glad you added that. Let me stick a pin right here because I got a lot more of your brain to pick when we come back from this commercial break. Everyone else, stick with us on Pivotal Change. We'll be right back after this.